بسم الله
Yes.
الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. So we left off in the book God's Emissaries talking about Nabi Nuh alayhi salam. We said that Allah promised him that he would bring that punishment to the disbelieving people, those who have rejected his prophet and ridiculed him and caused him a lot of pain and suffering. So he told him to plant these date palm seeds the angel brought. And when the trees would grow to mature trees and give fruit, that the punishment would come. So he said that when these trees grew fruit, they waited. Trees grew up, trees gave fruit. They looked to Nabi Nuh, the followers looked to Prophet Noah. And he said that Allah commanded them to eat those dates and then plant those seeds from those dates, repeating that promise, and that after those dates grew, they would become full trees giving fruits, that their salvation would come, their trials would end. So the second time those trees grew, gave fruit again. It says a large group of believers, maybe a third of them, felt that they had been abandoned by Allah and betrayed by Noah, that Noah is just buying time and stalling them, and Noah is not truthful. Na'udhu billah. That's what they're thinking. So they left the faith of Prophet Noah, alayhi salam, and they joined with the enemies. And then the other people remained steadfast, like they were commanded by Allah. Then the new crop grew, and the date palms ripened again. Same thing happened all over again. So only 70 people were remaining with Noah after all of this. And he said that one of the believers came to Nabi Noah alayhi salam and said, there's only a few of us here that are left. All the rest abandoned you. If you delay our salvation any further, we fear that we might not be able to remain strong in faith after this. And then one person said, had such strong conviction in Prophet Noah that he said, Ya Rasulullah, O Prophet of God, whether you do for us what you promised or not, I testify that you are a truthful prophet sent by Allah. We will never doubt in you, and no matter what you do. So Prophet Noah conveyed all of these things to Allah. He's telling Allah, this is my situation. Allah knows his situation, but he is talking with Allah to help him to bring salvation to his people and to relieve them from their sufferings and bring about the destruction of those disbelievers. So after 950 years as a prophet, it says Nabi Noah alayhi salam was in his 1800th year. Nabi Nuh lived a long time, as is mentioned in Quran. He said that Allah sealed the fate of those who had chosen not to believe. He ordered Noah to take an axe to the date palms that had grown this last time and cut them down. So when he cut them down, he told him to use this timber from these trees to build an ark, a big ship. He told him, build an ark under our watch with our guidance. This is Quran, Surah 11, Ayat 37. So Noah had been a carpenter all his life by trade. This is what he did. And no human had ever built a vessel before this that floated on the water. So there were no ships at that time. So he needed Allah's help to design this and build this ship, and only Allah knew how to give him this knowledge. No other person had this knowledge. So Allah sent Jibreel to show him how to do this. So he went and he built this boat. Imagine the ridicule that Nabi Nuh alayhi salam would get. Said, you're going to build something to float on the water. Never seen anything like that, you know. how they must have made fun of him. You can only imagine. So he was told to build 90 compartments within this boat to house the animals that were to go on the boat. On Allah's orders, he solicited help from his followers, promising anyone who helped him with gold and silver in paradise, so that they would not earn their reward here. He had nothing to give them, but if they helped him, they would have thawab and paradise. They would have their reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he started building this boat, this ark, where Masjid Kufa is. There's actually a spot there that you can go, and it shows you where that, it's in the middle of Masjid Kufa, and I believe it's like a fountain, has some water there. It's around that spot, and it has marked about the Ark of Noah. He said it was next to his own house and near the temple where the idol worshippers kept their idols. So these idol worshippers started making fun of him. They never gave up on this. They just kept mocking him, mocking him, mocking him. He had to endure all of this while he's building this ark. And it's nothing new. They've been doing that the whole time. So when he planted those date palm trees, they called him a farmer. Said, "Oh, look at you! You want to grow these things. You want to grow trees, and you're old already, and now you're growing trees, and you're never going to see the fruit of your labor. You're never going to. That's against wisdom. That why are you doing that?" And making fun of him. Then when he chopped the trees down, as Allah told him to, and they called him a lumberjack. They said, "Oh, look at you. You are crazy for destroying those trees because you put a lot of effort into growing those trees. And just when they got in their prime, you chopped them down," making fun of him. Now he started building an ark, and they called him a carpenter and a sailor and ridiculed him for building a ship in the middle of Kufa. Like, Kufa was far away from any sea. So whenever the people walk by, they would make fun of him. People are making fun of him no matter what he does. He grows a tree, call him a farmer. Cut it down, they say, "Oh, that's why are you cutting down the trees you grew?" Now he's building a boat. What do you think you're doing? You're going to put that thing on the water? What is that? That doesn't make any sense. But throughout all this ridicule, we have to take the lesson that we always aim to please Allah. Doesn't matter what people say. We should take this sentence, what people say, what will people say? What will people say? One of my teachers said we need to take that sentence and just get rid of it. Like, who cares what people will say? It depends on what we're doing, what Allah says, what Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam has commanded us to do. We have to take that into priority, no matter if everyone else is making fun of us or whatever they're doing. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Our aim is to please Allah. And don't prioritize anything over that, like pleasing people, for instance. There's a good story about this, about Luqman al-Hakim. It says Luqman, the wise, he told his son, we have Surah Luqman, he's always giving advice to his son. So this isn't from Quran, but this is from narration about Luqman. He says, "Don't attach your heart with pleasing people, as well as praising them or condemning them. For indeed, the pleasure of the people will never be attained, no matter how scrupulous an individual becomes." You can never please people. We have to know that. It's very hard. If you please one group, the other group is mad with you, and you please this, it will never, you can never please everybody. So his son said, "I want to see this, like what you're talking about. I want to see it in action so I can understand it." So Luqman said, "Okay, let's go." So him and his son, along with a mule or a donkey, they went out, and Luqman rode this mule. And he let his son walk behind the mule. The people in the market, they started scolding Luqman. They said, "This man is heartless. He's merciless. He rides the mule and he leaves his son walking behind him. And he's stronger than his son. what a bad choice Luqman has made. So Luqman turned to his son and said, did you hear how they reacted to me riding the mule while you're walking? He said, yeah, I heard. He said, okay. Luqman said, now you ride the mule and I'm going to walk. So Luqman, his son, he did the same. He did what he said. He rode on the back of the mule and Luqman walked behind him. So they came across another group of people who said, what a bad father and what a disrespectful son. Did his father not teach his son any respect for him to ride the mule and leave his father walking behind him? His father has more of a right to ride this mule, as he is more worthy of respect. As for the son, he disobeyed his father by this action. He treated his father bad. Look at that. He's not showing his father any respect. Luqman turned to his son and said, did you hear what they said? He said, yeah, I heard. So Luqman said, okay, let us both ride this mule together. So they both rode the mule until they reached another group of people. This group of people said, oh man, those people don't have any mercy in their hearts at all, these two. They both overburden and overwhelm the back of that poor mule, make it handle what it cannot bear. They're both on it. It would have been better, more sufficient for one of them to ride on and the other to walk, Luqman said, son, you hear that? He said, yeah, okay, I heard. So he said, let us have the mule walk, without any of us riding on it. So they fed the mule, and as they walked, they came across another group of people, and they said, how strange these two people are. They're walking, without taking advantage of that mule to carry them. They're just walking. They got a mule. Why didn't they? It's like us pushing a bicycle or not riding on the bike. This is what? Why are those two? They're not riding that mule. They're just letting it walk. They're not taking advantage. This is like crazy stuff. Why are they doing that? So Luqman said to his son, indeed, the pleasure of the people is an impossible task. Do not pay any attention to them and strive to please only Allah. It has a dutiful action, happiness, and blessings in this life and the hereafter. So we see, from this story, it's a funny story, but it has a lot of meaning to it. I remember Elder Sheikh, he told me this story when I first got my Amama. He told me about this. He said, a lot of people will say this, these people will be against you, or those people. And he told me it was I was trying to figure, I was like, why is this happening with this group or that group? And he told me this story and always stuck with me. No matter what you do, there's always going to be someone who's always going to say something about you. So you have to, don't worry about it and always focus on the pleasure of Allah and doing your mission. If you focus too much on what everyone is saying and what people are saying, you will never get anything done. You will never be able to get your job done, your work done, your project done, your book done, or whatever you're trying to do, if people are always trying to pull you and distract you from your work. So, no matter, what, the pleasure of people cannot be attained. No matter what good you do, there will always be a reason to be upset with you. They'll be critical of you, they'll be harsh towards you, but it's very simple to just, we have to leave that and just focus on pleasing Allah. Let all of our intentions, while we're doing good actions, only be to please Allah, not anyone else. Don't worry about pleasing anyone else. And it's as people have if you try to please people, you will not gain anything. You only gain the pleasure of those people, but you will displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example. And what have people lost? It's the saying goes, what have they gained, those who please the people, yet they have gained Allah's displeasure? And what have people lost who have displeased the people, but they are pleased, Allah is pleased with them? So we have to put Allah's pleasure above everything else, even if people are making fun of us and mocking us and saying God knows what about us. This is one lesson that we can get from the life of Nabi Noah alayhi salam. So Noah told the people, he said, if you are making fun of me now, it doesn't matter. We will soon mock you as you now mock us. Basically saying that Allah is with us and on our side. And you might not see this now, but on day of judgment, you will see the result of what is happening now. And he said, the author says, and you shall soon, no, this is ayat from Quran, Surah 11, ayat 38 to 39. If you mock us now, no, and you shall soon know upon whom among us a degrading punishment will come down, and upon whom among us a lasting punishment will descend. So Noah is telling them, you'll soon find out. You're making fun of us, but you will find out what all of this is about soon enough. So it took over 200 years for Noah and his followers, his few followers he had left, to complete this ark's construction. He says, back when Allah had issued orders to build the ark, he had told Noah, when our command comes and your oven gushes with water, then lead into the ark a pair from each kind of animal along with your family, except for those among them who have already been condemned. And do not speak to me about the wrongdoers. They will be drowned. This is Surah 23, ayat 27. The oven Allah referred to was one in Noah's house, in which his faithful wife, Amura, used to bake bread. This is mentioned in Al-Kafi from the footnotes and Bihar al-Anwar. So he says, okay, this oven I mentioned is from his wife's oven where she used to bake bread in the house. He warned her to watch for the day when water would come out of this oven, for that would be the day, and that would be Allah's sign that the great punishment was imminent. So they waited for that. When one day she noticed that the water was coming out of the oven, she alerted Prophet Noah, and he rushed to help her. And when he saw this, he knew that it was time. So he did as Allah commanded him to do, and he led the pair from the animals into the ark, and he got on the ark with his family and his few followers, except for those people who have already were condemned to be disbelievers, that they rejected all of the invitations of Nabi Nuh to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when Allah said in Surah 23, ayat 27, it says, lead into the ark a pair from each of the kind of animal along with your family, except for those among them who have already been condemned, and do not speak to me about the wrongdoers. They shall be drowned. So Noah called out, every beast and living thing, come. And they came from all around. When they approached, he led a pair of each onto the ark and into its special holding pen so that he would be able to restore the world's animal population after everything was destroyed. So we see here that Nabi Nuh alayhi salam also was able to communicate with animals. We see that this from Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam mentioned in Quran as well. And we also see that with the Imams from Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Many instances, the Imams, they knew all the languages. They had this knowledge that was given to them by inspiration from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're the hujjah on the earth, so they have to be able to communicate with these creations. For example, we see in Masjid al-Kufa, they have a door that is called Bab al-Fil. Bab al-Fil was renamed by the Umayyads. It was Bab al-Thu'ban. A Thu'ban in Arabic is a serpent. snake. So this serpent, it was named Babu Thuban because during one of the judgments or lectures or talks of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, that a big serpent came into Masjid al-Kufa and everyone got scared and they moved out of the way, and the serpent came right up to Mimbar and came close to Amir al-Mu'mineen, and everyone was scared, and he told them, don't worry about it. So the serpent talked with him and Imam talked with serpent. When he talked with after this thing was over, serpent left. People were like, what is this? Imam told them that this serpent is chief judge among jinn, and he took this form and came, and he had a trouble in a judgment, and he asked for my judgment. What should I do? And I told him what he should do, and then he left and he went back out of that gate. So from then on, they called this gate Bab al-Thu'ban in Masjid al-Kufa. Umayyads wanted to hide this mu'jiza, this miracle of Imam, so they called it Bab al-Field. They renamed that gate. Anyone go to Masjid al-Kufa, ask for where Bab al-Thu'ban, and they'll show you, or Bab al-Field, they'll show you that gate. Also, we see from the life of Imam Qadam alayhi salam, where he was traveling with his companion, and this lion came very close and put his foot where the stirrup on the horse of Imam, and the other companion got so scared. Imagine like a giant lion, coming and putting his foot right next to your Imam. So he got scared, and Imam spoke to this lion, and the lioness was having a child, a cub, I guess we call it. It was having difficulty in the labor. So the lion asked the Imam to pray for him. And Imam prayed and sent the lion back to his lioness. And the lion told the Imam that they will not eat from the descendants of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, the Sadat. So we see that here, that also Imam spoke to animals. So we see here, this is nothing new. The proofs of Allah on earth, whether prophets or Imams, they were able to speak the language of any people, also language of jinns and animals, and even we have narrations that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam could talk to inanimate things such as trees and tell them to move from one place to other place, that the rocks would give salam to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he would walk by. All these type of things, we find many miracles about Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Noah called out to these animals, told them to board and come onto the ship. So after this, he also loaded what all the things that he needed for that trip, and he sent word to all the believers who, after all these years, he's preached for all these years. You'd think he would have a very big community, but he only had about 80 people. And as the first drops of rain fell on the 1st of Rajab, Prophet Noah told them to get on the ark. May its launching and docking be with Allah's name. He is the all-absolving, the ever-merciful. This is Quran 11, Surah 11, Ayah 41. So they boarded as they were planning to do that for a long time. They were grateful to Allah and to Prophet Noah for saving them and fulfilling that promise that he made to them. And when they were situated, they praised Allah, and they say, praise is for Allah who saved us from the wrongdoers. Then Noah added, Ya Rab, O Lord, disembark me in a blessed place. You are the best one to disembark. This is Surah 23, ayats 28 and 29. So he asked for Allah's safety in this journey, in this travel. And we have to take lesson from this as well. When we go on travel, or we go on a trip, or even when we can go out of our house and go somewhere, that we ask Allah to make our journey safe, to give us help in our journey, to allow us to arrive safely, and these things. So we should ask Allah for His help in all situations, especially here when we see with traveling. So it says the rains began to come down in full force. So it says Allah flung open his celestial floodgates to let torrential rains pour down. Then he made the earth burst forth with geysers, at which the two waters met according to a plan that was ordained. So waters coming from up and coming from down. It says torrential downpour. Don't know if any of you have ever traveled to Latin America, but what it doesn't rain like normal. It's very hot, and then all of a sudden the rain comes, but it's not like drop, drop, drop. It's like someone turns a bucket upside down and sheets of water fall, and then there's like a foot or two of water on the ground within like 5 minutes. It's so much water. It doesn't even look like rain. It just looks like buckets of water pouring down. So we can imagine that maybe this water was strong like that. He says, as chaotic as the ensuing destruction must have seemed, not a drop rose or fell except according to Allah's precise plan. Everything is in the power, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Everything, might or power, is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has planned everything exactly. So he planned to carry Nabi Noah alayhi salam and his followers on an ark of planks and nails that sailed under his watch. All of this was a recompense for one who had been rejected. He was rejected by those people, treated bad by those people, and then all of his efforts were refused by those people, even beaten by those people. Now Allah has saved him. Allah saves the believers and has a good ending for them. He says Allah has foreshadowed for Noah that all of his family would not join him on the ark. When he said, lead into the ark your family, except for those among them who have already been condemned. So this shows that someone has already been condemned. One of these who chose not to board the ark of Noah was one of his wives, Rabi'ah. Despite being so close to one of Allah's greatest prophets, she refused to believe. On the day of judgment, she will be told, enter the fire along with the others. This is Quran 66, ayat 10. So we see that she should have benefited from being so close to a prophet of God. But some of the prophets of God, their wives were not so great. They treated them bad and they rejected them, such as this one, that she did not get on the boat and she did not follow the instructions of the prophet. And we see that some of the wives of the prophet Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam caused him a great deal of trouble, and that surahs from Quran were revealed about them. And even after his death, when the death of his grandson Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam came about, and they wanted to bury Imam Hassan alayhi salam in the in the place next to his grandfather, they shot arrows. One of the wives had people shoot arrows at his coffin. So we see that they have caused a lot of trouble, which even caused Ibn Abbas to say, one day you ride a camel, now you're riding a mule, and what are you going to ride next? An elephant? Saying like you're causing a lot of problems. You rode a camel in the famous Battle of Jamal and fought against the successor of Holy Prophet. They fought against Imam Ali alayhi salam. Now they are riding a mule to shoot arrows at coffin of the grandson of Rasulullah, Imam Hassan alayhi salam. So what is next? How far are you going with this? As Ibn Abbas is saying. So we see that even the greatest of creation, they even had some people that were close to them that bothered them and gave them a difficult time. So this was, and they give an example in the Quran of the wife of Nabi Nuh and the wife of Nabi Lut, or in English is Lot, alayhi salam. So he says, more surprising even to Noah himself was the refusal of his son, Canaan. Um, it says here in the footnote, Canaan is named as the son of Ham in the Bible. However, the name is mentioned in some traditions as the name of Noah's son who was destroyed. Whatever his name, the Quran explicitly describes him as Noah's son. So it said even if there's discrepancy in the name, we know that it's talking about Noah's son. He said he had been a believer like his brothers, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, or so Noah had thought. And he had expected him to join the others, but the water was coming up fast and there was no sign of him anywhere. So it was almost time to seal the door of the ship when he finally spotted his son in the distance. So Noah called out to him, "O my son, board the ark with us. Don't remain with the disbelieving people." He didn't know his son was himself among the disbelieving people. He said, "I'll seek refuge on a mountain, and that mountain will protect me from the water." And Noah said, "There is nothing on this day that can protect anyone from Allah's command except him upon whom Allah has mercy." So he's thinking that he has to take refuge, something else can save him from Allah. But the only thing can save you from Allah is Allah's mercy and what Allah has instructed us to do. And in that time, Allah instructed the people to go on the ark with their prophet. He says that, but the prerequisite for Allah's mercy is belief and obedience. With that, a wave surged between them, and he became one of those people who were drowned. This is mentioned in Quran, Surah 11, ayats 42 and 43. So we must always trust in Allah's plan and follow his prophet that he has sent to us, even if the majority of people are against him. We shouldn't become like so close to the disbelievers that we abandon the believers because of our affiliation with wrongdoers. So Nabi Nuh's son is close to these disbelievers, and he's saying, "Oh, I'll be okay. I don't need to follow, your advice or your thing. That I'll just stay over here and I'll be okay." We shouldn't separate ourselves from believers and say that we are just with disbelievers all the time and we're never with believers. We should always want to be around believers. We should always want to follow what the Prophet has taught us. We should want to follow him in belief and practice, in deeds. Doesn't matter if all of the other people are opposing him, the majority is opposing him. The majority is not, that doesn't mean anything. Majority doesn't mean that people are right. For example, here, the majority left Prophet Noah and were drowned. Only 80 people stayed with him out of all of those people. When Nabi Musa alayhi salam went to mountain and the people turned and worshiped the calf, only a few people stayed. Because, does that mean majority was right? No. When Battle of Uhud with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, majority of people ran away. Only a few people stayed and remained faithful and defended the Holy Prophet. Does it mean everyone is running away? Majority is right. They're okay. We should run away too? No. We have to do what's right. Even if that thing is difficult, we still have to do it. We go somewhere, everyone is eating all sort of haram. Even Muslims eating haram meat. It doesn't matter. We just say, Bismillah, we're good. Okay, they're all eating this food. It's okay, I eat this food too. No, majority doesn't mean anything. Even in a difficult situation, we have to do what's right. Even if someone says, things against you. I remember I had a friend and they used to just say, there was from different school of thought. and they said, "Oh, you guys are a little bit weird. You have to have everything halal, but we just say Bismillah and we eat, you know. So that's a little bit strange for me what you're doing." Okay, it doesn't matter. We both agree that eating halal is better, so is the best way. So why would you leave the best way for something else? And it doesn't matter what majority of people are doing. Majority of people do a lot of crazy things, but does that mean that it's okay? Even in those tough situations, we still have to refrain from a haram, even if all the other people are doing it. We can't succumb to peer pressure and say that, okay, majority, they're doing that, so it must be okay. I see majority in, for example, some Muslim countries, we Muslim, with the air quotes, they are having uh, I saw recently like two leaders of some Arab Gulf countries opening the first, they call it halal bar or halal nightclub, as alcohol, as women, as dancing, you know. So they say, okay, in Islamic country, they have a nightclub. It's an Islamic country. So nightclub, okay, it's okay then, because we find it in Islamic country. We can't look at what Muslims are doing. We have to look at what Muslims are told to do. We have to look at what Quran tells us to do. We have to look at what Prophet tells us to do. Make our judgments based on Quran and narrations. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa told us, he left us thaqalain, two weighty things, Quran and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Whoever holds on to those things will never go astray. They will not separate from each other till they meet at the pond of Kauthar. So we have to make our criteria based on that, not what majority of people are doing. Because if we go to some of these countries and see what they are doing, they are worse than what is happening in the land of non-believers, if you want to say, like the Western countries. uh, we go to some Muslim countries and they have cities that are more haram is there than over here. Um, my Arabic teacher, he told me, he said one of my students, they went to this city in Gulf, and he got out of the plane. He came from Denmark or one of these cities, I think Denmark, I believe. And he said, like, I got out of the plane and I saw so much haram and so many people doing so many bad things that I saw drinking and prostitution and drugs and all sort of things. I got scared for myself, and I saw more haram than I did in this European country I came from, even worse than those bad areas. He said I got back on the plane and left. So this is what my Arabic teacher was telling me about this student. So we have to we go to these places and we say they are a Muslim country. We cannot just accept because of the urf or the common usage of what they are doing that they're all Muslims, so it's all acceptable. So we have to not go with a majority, and we have to stick with our Prophet no matter how difficult things are. Then we see that the example of the followers of Prophet Noah, they stuck with him no matter how difficult the things were. People were making fun of them. They were tested by Allah with these date palm trees growing and replanting and growing over and over again. Then they had to build this boat for 200 years and everyone is making fun of them. We have problem with someone making fun of us for one day. Imagine someone making fun of you for hundreds of years while you're working and you're out in the sun, hitting a hammer or whatever, building a boat, and people are making fun of you. The determination from these people to follow their prophet and to follow what Allah says should give us inspiration and hope, and a firm resolve to follow our prophet when people are opposing us and when majority of people are opposed to us. And even if they are making fun of us, it is okay. And we have to teach our children these things too when they go to school. They will encounter many people from other places, and we have to have our priorities together. That our priorities is to mold our life and our worldview based on the Holy Quran, based on Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. It doesn't matter what anyone else is saying or what anyone else feels. At the end of the day, we need to do what is right, and what is right is what Quran has taught us, Holy Prophet has taught us, Ahlul Bayt have taught us. So with this, we will end, and we will come back and speak more about what happened with the son of Noah in the next class, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى
جزاك الله محمد وعلى محمد.
So inshallah, I'll see everyone next week, and enjoy Eid al-Adha with your families.